Here is a look at Jake Paul's insane lifestyle. It might make you question every life decision you've ever made. 1. Massive houses. First off, his mansions. Jake Paul's houses are luxury playgrounds designed for chaos and viral content. Back in his early Team 10 days, Jake rented a $17,000 a month mansion in Beverly Grove, LA. This house wasn't just for living, it was for destroying. Fireworks? Check. Wild animals? Double check. Angry neighbors? Oh, you bet. The neighborhood hated him so much, they probably had Evict Jake Paul bake sales. But Jake didn't stop there. He upgraded to a $6.9 million mansion in Calabasas, California. Now, this house was a statement. Think 15,000 square feet of pure luxury, complete with 8 bedrooms, enough to house an entire Team 10 reboot, a massive pool perfect for Jake's infamous pool parties, a home theater because why watch movies in a normal living room when you can pretend you're at Cannes? The crazy part? He ditched it all and moved to Puerto Rico, where he snagged another crazy mansion. Why? Because he wanted peace, quiet, and probably lower taxes. His Puerto Rico mansion is beachfront, which means Jake can wake up, sip his $8 latte, and stare at the ocean while plotting his next stunt. Whether he's breaking the internet or breaking his neighbor's patience, Jake lives by one rule. If it's not outrageous, it's not worth it. Back in his infamous Team 10 house days, Jake decided it'd be a great idea to turn his backyard into a pyromaniac's playground. He lit a giant pile of furniture on fire in a stunt so reckless, the flames reportedly reached higher than the house itself. Jake described it as content gold, while his neighbors likely described it as a public safety hazard. Moral of the story? Don't try this at home, unless you want your HOA to hate you forever. 2. Cars that belong in a superhero movie. Jake Paul's car collection isn't just a flex, it's an attack on your self-esteem. If you thought owning one luxury car was cool, Jake's garage will make you feel like your Uber rides are a personal failure. First, a Lamborghini Huracan Performante. This $300,000 speed demon is Jake's baby. He's been spotted cruising around in this bright orange beast. With a top speed of over 200 km/h, this car can outrun everything except bad press. Next up, a Rolls-Royce Phantom. Because no self-respecting millionaire doesn't own one, Jake's Phantom is worth more than most houses, clocking in at $450,000. It's luxury on wheels, complete with leather seats so soft they probably whisper, "You deserve this, Jake." And then, a Tesla Model X. Jake has one of these eco-friendly rides, but knowing him, it's probably custom wrapped in gold camo or something equally ridiculous. He also owns a monster truck Jeep. Not content with just supercars, Jake also owns a Jeep that's been modified to look like it could survive the apocalypse. It's lifted, camo wrapped, and absolutely ridiculous, just like Jake. Every time he posts a car pic, you can almost hear the collective sound of teenagers whispering, "One day, that'll be me." 3. Boxing. So this is not something he bought, but it's so insane too. When Jake Paul announced he was becoming a professional boxer, the world collectively rolled its eyes. But joke's on us because Jake's boxing career is making him filthy rich. He's fought YouTubers, ex-NBA stars, and even actual fighters, earning millions per match. His fight with Tommy Fury reportedly brought in $30 million, and that's not counting sponsorships. That's more money than most of us will see in a lifetime, and he made it while punching people. Take a look at that. Jake had a championship belt made out of 24-karat gold, diamond accents, and crocodile leather. It costs more than a college education, and yes, it's absolutely unnecessary, but that's kind of the point. Jake turned boxing into a business, and whether you think he's a real fighter or just a loudmouth, the guy is laughing all the way to the bank. Jake Paul doesn't do normal. From his early Disney days to his boxing career, Jake has made a career out of being extra. While most people's idea of crazy is eating pineapple on pizza, Jake's crazy involves fireworks, lawsuits, and stunts that make you question why. Jake loves boxing, but why make it normal when you can make it ridiculous? During one of his earlier fights, Jake trained blindfolded just for kicks. And while it looked like a scene from Karate Kid, it also proved Jake's flair for the dramatic. His blindfolded sparring video racked up millions of views online because, of course, anything Jake does is designed to break the internet. The craziest part? He actually wasn't terrible, but let's be honest, he probably won't be using this strategy in a real fight anytime soon. Jake has a habit of calling out people way out of his league, and one of his boldest stunts was challenging Conor McGregor, one of the most dangerous MMA fighters in the world, to a boxing match. Jake even took it a step further by offering Conor $50 million. Yes, you read that right, to fight him. To really sell it, Jake made a cringeworthy video where he hurled insults at Conor and even his wife. Spoiler alert, Conor didn't take the bait, but Jake's sheer audacity? 10-10. 4N. Private jets. Forget commercial flights. Jake Paul is all about flying private. Whether he's jetting off to a boxing match or a tropical vacation, Jake makes sure his travel is as extra as his personality. Jake's private jet adventures often feature him lounging in oversized chairs, sipping champagne, and posing with his crew like they're auditioning for a reboot of Entourage. The cost of these jets? Easily $5,000, $10,000 per hour of flight time. But for Jake, that's probably pocket change. 5. Watches. Jake's watch collection is the kind of thing that would make a jeweler faint. We're talking Rolexes, Richard Mille, and Audemars Piguet, all worth more than your car, and maybe your house too. First off, a Richard Mille RM in 1103, which costs around $400,000. That's the price of a house in most places, but Jake's just using it to check how long he has until his next viral stunt. Then, a Rolex Yachtmaster. This bad boy costs $48,000, which is basically the entry-level price for Jake's watch collection. Jake's watches are so expensive, they probably have bodyguards. 6. Parties. Jake Paul throws parties so wild, they make your average house party look like a church potluck. His infamous LA mansion was the epicenter of insane ragers that often ended with the cops showing up. He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on parties, complete with live DJs, luxury catering, and celebrity guests. One time, Jake reportedly hired circus performers because why not? His parties are so insane, they've been compared to the parties in The Great Gatsby, except instead of 1920s elegance, it's 2020's chaos. In 2020, Jake's life hit a whole new level of crazy when the FBI raided his Calabasas mansion. Yes, the actual FBI. The raid was reportedly connected to an investigation into looting during a George Floyd protest in Arizona, where Jake had been spotted. Footage of the raid showed FBI agents leaving his house with giant guns and boxes of evidence, because why have a normal day when you can have a SWAT team in your driveway? While Jake wasn't arrested, the incident became one of the most bizarre parts of his career. 7. Giving back. Believe it or not, Jake Paul has a generous side. He's donated to various charities, helped struggling boxers, and even handed out money during giveaways. Sure, it's usually filmed for YouTube content, but hey, good deeds are still good deeds, right? 8. Unnecessary expensive shit. First, crashing a wedding. Who needs an invitation when you're Jake Paul? During one of his "I'm bored, let's do something wild" phases, Jake crashed a random wedding in Las Vegas. Uninvited, dressed in what can only be described as rich guy casual, he waltzed into someone's big day like he was the main event. Instead of being thrown out, Jake actually joined the celebration, danced with guests, and even gave an impromptu speech. Imagine explaining to your grandkids that Jake Paul showed up at your wedding, unplanned. Still on the subject of vow exchanging, remember that time Jake Paul married fellow YouTuber Tana Mongeau? The ceremony was a live-streamed spectacle, complete with champagne fights, an Elvis impersonator, and zero legal paperwork. The wedding reportedly cost $500,000, which is a lot for a relationship that didn't even last the summer. The marriage turned out to be a publicity stunt, because of course it was. Jake and Tana called it quits after 2 months, but the memes? Those will last forever. Next on the list, Jake Paul turned his boxing match into a circus. Jake doesn't just box, he puts on a show. For his fight with Tyron Woodley, Jake entered the ring wearing a giant robot suit. Yes, a robot suit. Because why focus on fighting when you can also cosplay as a transformer? He also promised Woodley a Rolex watch if he lost. And when Woodley did lose, Jake followed through with the gift. Say what you want about Jake, but the man knows how to turn sports into theater. Lastly, Jake Paul blew $2.5 million in one day. Jake once dropped $2.5 million in a single day on a car and some jewelry. That's not crazy, that's insanity. He purchased a Bugatti Chiron, which cost more than some people's lifetime earnings, and a diamond-encrusted chain shaped like a boxing glove. Jake called it investing in his happiness, which is probably the richest thing anyone's ever said. The rest of us invest in happiness by buying snacks. But hey, you do you, Jake. Here's the real question. What won't Jake Paul do? Honestly, at this point, probably nothing. Jake Paul knows how to make life look ridiculously entertaining and ridiculously expensive.